What was we talking about?
You were saying that I was getting ready to say after you said he came out of a drug prison to a physical prison to the Nation of Islam prison, finally freed his mind, and he said he don't need no leader. He said he ain't under nobody's control. Nobody's telling him what to say, which tells you he was being told what to say when he was with the nation.
And what I was saying was sometimes we are so, you saying gullible.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're so gullible, but sometimes we're so desperate to get out of a prison that we put ourselves into. Let me tell you something. I just recently moved, and because I moved, I threw away furniture. But I was so desperate to get furniture. To get furniture. What I did was I was like, okay, because I want this whole set. Let me go to. That's my sister. Let me go to this furniture store and let me get this furniture on credit.
Exactly. You went right back into a prison.
I went right back into a debt prison.
I bet the other furniture was paid for, wasn't it?
Listen, and I threw it away.
Because you know why? We want the latest and the greatest.
But listen, so what I did was I freed my mind. I got out of the prison.
See?
They called me on Friday and said, Mr. Wilson, we just want to let you know that Sunday is your first payment. I said, wait, hold on. What I did was when I set up this, I told you guys, don't have my payments coming out on the first. That's when I pay my rent.
Right.
I'm a stickler for my rent because I cannot have food, but I need a place to stay.
All the time. You can be hungry drinking water now.
I need a place to stay.
But you're going to be warm.
I'm going to be warm. And I can always eat some ooze and noodles and boil some water.
Okay.
But I said, I'm not going to be, I don't want to get paid. I don't want my checks, I don't want to draft on the first.
Right.
Because that's my rent.
Right.
I want it on the 15th. She said, oh no, we can't do that. So you're going to tell me
when you going to take my money?
When you going to take my money? This is not how this works.
That's
you know what I did? No, I freed myself. You know what I did? I said, I'm going to tell you what because she wanted to argue. I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I said, you finished? She said, well, you finished? You could come get the furniture.
Pick it up.
Come get it. Come get everyone. Let me know when you want to come get it and close the account.
Exactly.
I went there yesterday and she's like, well, do you want to keep it? No, I don't want to keep it.
Exactly.
You're not going to keep me in this prison.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to try to make me pay every month, and
on the first,
and
make you stretch what you,
Then I'll be paying more.
90 days same as cash.
I'll be paying more than what the furniture is worth because of interest.
Absolutely.
90 days.
That's
same
right.
as cash.
That's the whole point of credit. That's why in the Bible they let the men free every 7 years.
90 days.
You can do whatever.
What are you saying?
She was saying 90 days same as cash.
What you mean?
That means you should get your furniture if they offer you to pay it off in 90 days.
You just pay.
And you take 3 months, you break the furniture amount down and make it in 3 payments, and within 90 days it's paid off.
They don't charge you any interest.
That's how we do sometimes.
One piece at a time.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one piece at a time.
Okay, but we're not trying to get into his furniture.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying this is quick.
He went from one prison to
they tried to get because what I was saying was he was so desperate to get out of one prison.
Yeah.
First he was desperate to get out of physical prison. Then the guy told him, I can free your mind out of that. I can free your mind while you're in prison and you'll be free. To not only realize that he was free to be in another prison.
Do you know that we live in a fractal universe? You know what a fractal is?
No.
A fractal is a design.
Okay.
Within a design, within a design, within a design. But it's the same exact design.
Okay.
No matter how far down you go, it becomes the same exact design.
Okay.
That's called a fractal universe. Prisons are fractal.
Okay.
There's a prison inside of a prison inside of a prison inside of a prison. It just got different rooms and different doors. But what you don't understand is when you come out of one prison, the other prison look like it's free. You freer because you've never been in that prison before.
Listen.
So your mind is feeling some newness, which means that it's feeling free.
Absolutely.
It's just like when you were saying he went from a drug addiction to prison. Well, the reality of it is when you on drugs, what do they give you to get you off? Methadone.
They give
you another drug to addict you to, so that the other drug would do less harm. This drug is less harmful. However, you will have an addiction. So prisons are made to be addictive. And even what Malcolm X didn't realize is when he came out of the nation, he had already been impregnated with the seed of a prison mind. That's how come he became so angry. If he really was free, he'd have walked away with his freedom.
Say it again. What did he say after he found out that
he said, I don't have to answer to nobody. I ain't got to, I can say what I want to say. I can do what I want to do. I ain't got no leaders over top of me. And forgot that he was living in the United States of America. The biggest prison system you could ever find yourself in. Negro, you can't, I don't care which one of these fractal prisons you in, you still in this country and you are still under the government of the United States of America. And until you reach high enough, because if you go up too high, you're going to really find out what prison you in. Because now you're going to have to run into the 1% who's running this thing. And if you think you're going to leave the United States and get out of prison, hey baby, no. Do you know that there is a world government?
And that's how about
Siri, stop listening to me.
And and so what you're saying though is that 1%, when you're at the top, they're answering to that 1%, but that 1% is answering to them states.
The 1%
is answering to the religious state.
Well, no, the 1% is not answering to anybody except the consumer. But the consumer is so vast that it don't mind losing 1 million consumers. Okay. So that's how come the 1%, not only will they buy the drug, they will buy the antidote. Not only will they buy the thing that'll make you sick, not only will they buy the thing that'll make you sick, but they own the thing that gets rid of the thing that make you sick. So they win either way. They don't care about you.
Listen.
They own the people that listen. That's how come if you smart, you'll be a Donald Trump. Donald Trump don't care what side he's on. He's making money.
Making money.
He don't care if he's in bed with Russia. He's making money.
Making money.
He can be in a bed with Russia and China at the same time. Both of them screw him. But he making money. It's like the prostitute. You don't like her prostitute, but she making money. I'm just saying, the point is, the prisons are for those who are willing to be imprisoned. It's you willingly go to work every day. But you willingly go because somebody told you that if you don't go to work, you won't have a place to live. That you won't be able to eat. That you won't be able to have the nice things that you have because you're a prison to things.
Absolutely.
But you could live without a place to live.
Yeah.
You could live on the street.
I could.
You just got to live on the street that they let you live on as a bum. Because you can't just go on any street and live. Any street. You're still in prison as a bum.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they
as a homeless person.
As a homeless person. You can't just go live under any bridge because they control the bridge.
Exactly.
You can't just go to any park. They control the park.
You can't even go and get an apple off the tree.
Because they control the
Because they control the trees. They are owned by somebody. Do you know there is food all over California?
Listen.
Fruit trees, oranges, apples, pears, whatever. And they got more homeless people than almost any state.
And I drive through Delaware and all you see is cornfields, collard green fields, strawberry fields.
But where are all the homeless people? In the city. Why don't y'all go out into the country?
You can live off corn.
But guess what? They got those fields so monitored. You drive up there and try to get a piece of corn off the stalk. It ain't gonna work.
It ain't gonna work.
But people are starting to build what they call city gardens.
Okay. Yes, we have one.
Yeah, and what they do is the entire neighborhood come together and they'll either buy or they will ask the government for a plot of land and they'll put fruit and vegetables and grow them in a garden and make it free to the community.
Okay.
And people are doing it all over. But guess what, y'all? You know who's doing this? It's not us. It ain't us.
Because we need a leader to tell us that we're
We
allowed
need
we need a leader to tell us that we're allowed to grow. We're allowed to grow food.
somebody need to tell us that it's okay for us to grow some corn in our
Listen.
own yard.
And I don't care if you judge me. It's so sad now that we need.
You're not gonna talk about weed, are you?
I am.
I knew it, go ahead, babe. See how we think?
It's so sad that we need we've had leaders tell us that
I'm sorry.
we had leaders that tell us for so long that weed was an illegal drug that we can't have. So we have people in jail for years of smoking weed, selling weed, but now the government is giving weed away. But hold on. Now they're giving weed away. Hold on. They're giving weed away, but we still can't go in our house. It's a natural freaking.
But guess what?
It's called a weed because it's literally that's what it is. It's a weed.
Right, but
in the ground.
But it was free for millions and billions of
It
years.
ain't the same though. They tainted it and they
It wasn't.
what?
It wasn't until the government wanted to control it
Listen.
because it was free in people's mind. Remember the 60s when they first started
Free
smoking weed?
mind.
What was they doing?
That's what
It was, see, let me tell y'all something. When your mind is first free, it's like being born into a new dimension that you've never been born in before, and you tend to go wild.
You know.
Think about, wait a minute. You remember the 60s? What was that big thing that they had out in the park? What was that? It was
Woodstock.
I'm gonna tell y'all something. Listen, if you want to see what a free mind looks like, go back and watch some of those Woodstock videos.
Listen.
You're gonna see all kinds of explicitness, disgusting behavior, people just doing drugs and drinking, all out in the open because they discovered weed, LSD, drugs that they've been using in Africa for generations as medicine.
Let me tell you something, and this goes. She said they've been using for generations. If you guys ever know or followed up with Judy Garland and her story,
Wow. What's she in drugs?
Judy Garland, who did Wizard of Oz at the age of 15 or 14 or 15.
Oh, that was Dorothy. That was me.
She was between 14 and 15 and 16.
Yeah.
To keep her up to shoot this movie and to keep her awake because she worked, they gave her meth.
Methamphetamine, what is it called?
Yes, I just know it as meth. They gave her meth, and the meth would keep her like alert.
Oh
So when
yeah,
she
because kids take that in college too.
So when she go to sleep, when she gets sleepy, they wake her back up so we can do this. Which is why over time she was a prison. They put her in prison because she died of addiction.
Oh.
But it was a prison that they put her in.
Yes.
It wasn't a prison that she volunteered to be in. That's why I say you gotta be very careful.
Well, wait. She volunteered.
No, she didn't. You are a child. See, she didn't know it was meth.
Okay.
She was 14.
She thought it was medicine.
Yes. They say here.
Okay.
You tell.
What was her parents?
That's the thing. Her parents literally. You gotta watch it. Her parents literally, because they were poor white trash, if the loosely term.
Right.
They sold her to the studio. The studio gave them money. They said, here, you can have her and groom her how you want. So what the studio was doing, and this producer, not only did he molest her as a child, they was like, oh, here, she's getting, here, you take this. What is this? It's vitamins. If you're a child, you have brands. If you give your child a grain of vitamin and say, here, take this vitamin, are they going to say no?
My grandbabies will definitely. They won't say no, but they will ask.
Right, but let's talk.
I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Children in general will say, here. Even when children go to the nursing school.
Yes.
When I was in school, I don't know how nurses work now, I love the way this camera looks. When I was in school, you go to the nurse and then you're not feeling well. The nurse will give you something in a cup.
Right.
Take this. You don't know what it is.
Exactly.
You just take it because you're a child.
And the doctor's office too, especially the emergency room.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
I lay up like this.
They say, listen, they'll tell you.
Stick me.
They tell you what. They tell you, oh, they gonna put a needle in your arm. You halfway out of it. Oh, we're just gonna give you some fluid.
Okay.
You don't know what's in there. You don't know it's because it's trust.
But when you leave out, you feel so good.
But what is it doing it to you at the end? It feels good. It really does. But these are prisons. You know, I'm telling you, the prison. See, the hospital has a prison. When she first go in, you know exactly when she.
All I know is when I go, I feel so bad. When I come out, I feel so
good.
Wait. I can't stop laughing. Oh, it hurts so bad. I was gonna say this is a clip I'm put on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurt. I have to stop it, but I can identify what you said.
Absolutely.
Because that's the truth.
You do.
How many of y'all go to the hospital? You feel so bad. Oh, crying, your head hurt, your body hurt, and they put something in your arm, and you feel
so good.
You go home, you like, oh. You don't think about that. You just opened your arm up in your veins.
When I had surgery, I was so nervous. I mean, my blood pressure didn't rise, but you know, with anything you have these jitters, and then next thing you know, she putting in things. She said, "Oh, I'm like," I asked her, "So what's that?" She said, "Oh, this is to make you feel okay." Next thing you know, 2 hours later, you done come all the way down.
Listen, y'all, let me tell you, this is so funny to me. And I'm telling y'all about to expose myself in a second. I recently was in the hospital, right? And the doctor said, we got to do an MRI. Mm-hmm. I was like this.
You were shaking.
I cannot get in MRIs. I literally lose it. I'm so claustrophobic that when I can't, if I'm awake and you start moving me, and soon as my energy touches the little circle, I'm coming out. Mm. So I told the doctor, I said, listen, I can't get in the machine unless I am drugged up. Mm-hmm. So anytime I have to have an MRI done, I have to be drugged up. This time I had an MRI done. I had some swelling in my brain. This was recently, just some inflammation. And the doctor said, okay, we're going to give you something to relax you and help you sleep. And I said, okay. I knew I needed this MRI done. To this day, I don't remember the MRI being done. Mm. I have no recollection of what happened. The nurse came in the room. I don't remember leaving or coming back.
Wow.
I'm now, I have been under sedation many times for operations or different things. It's never been that I don't remember what happened or the process. Whatever they gave me to take me out, all I know is I came back and all my body parts was there. I didn't feel like nothing wrong had been done. They could have done anything they wanted to my body. I have no recollection of what happened to me. I do have the disc proving I had the MRI done. I do have the letter because I had to take it to the neurosurgeon. So I have all that information. I don't know. I have no idea when the MRI was
because
done.
you volunteered them. You volunteered
That's my point.
And notice what you said.
Because we trust the system.
And notice you said
I told them what my weakness was.
But you told them they gave you a prison to put you in. while you were in that prison, you said something key. They could have done anything to me, and I wouldn't have known. This is what happened.
Yes.
Malcolm X was in a prison, and they did anything to him, and until he was out the prison.
I was getting ready to say until they cast his butt out, then he even was able to see that it was a prison.
And you know what's so funny is, I don't know how accurate the movie Malcolm X is, but there's a scene that, I've seen the movie a lot, but there was a scene that struck me today. Malcolm X was meeting Betty, who's portrayed by Angela Bassett.
Okay, yeah. She was his wife, right?
She was his wife.
Okay.
But in the courting, it was flipping scenes back and forth of what Elijah Muhammad was telling him about women, and what he was experiencing. So the one scene, he's sitting with Elijah Muhammad, and Elijah was like, "You have to keep the women under subjection." He's having dinner. You have to tell them only if they're only allowed to speak if they're doing good.
Right.
Teach them how to cook and clean. They only need to be. You haven't seen that scene?
I don't remember that.
Oh,
no, I believe you because he sounds like him.
Yeah, you have to teach them how to. And he said one thing clean. He was like, and it's okay if they're twice your age.
Yeah, I remember when they were trying to get him married.
It's okay if they're the right height and the right weight.
Yes, I do remember that.
But make sure that they're good women, that they listen to you, that they cook and clean and sew, that they stay in a woman's place. And this was a prison.
Yes.
That because he was in, they conditioned him and they allowed him.
But think of all the women that are in prison, and they wear uniforms. Just like prisoners do. Do you know most organizations that are prisons have uniforms? I don't care what organization it is, they have a uniform. Uniforms are part of mind control.
Absolutely.
Because what we learn in sociology is that uniforms are markers for roles that you play. So if you went into a doctor's office and you don't see your doctor in a white coat, and he walking around with a suit on, which they do now. They've confused so many people that you walk in the doctor's office, they got different colors. They got colors for students, colors for interns, colors for residents. And you look at all these people and you're like, where's the man with the white coat? I go into the doctor's office all the time and I say, are you a doctor? It's not until the man walks in the room with the white coat on, looks seasoned, got the badge on, got the stethoscope on. I'm like, you the doctor, aren't you? Yep, that's me. So we look for we look for markers for the roles people supposed to play.
And you know what's so funny? And yes, I follow Christianity and I follow Christ, but not the Christ that we're taught. Not the white hair, not the blonde hair, the blue eyes. I really don't have an image of Christ.
Okay.
I follow the spirit of Christ.
Right.
And I follow
the message
of Christ.
Okay. Yeah.
And I follow the example. The example. Right. There are others who do follow the person Christ.
Right.
Because that's what they taught.
Right.
And until I was free,
which is impossible because they never met him.
But I have aunts, and she's my blood aunt and my godmother. But I have her and another aunt who, and not in a bad way.
No, say what you say.
But they broke away from the church for years.
I'm gone.
And I have one aunt who broke away. She recently returned in the last few years to help.
Okay.
But she had broke away from. Remember, she was at Lighthouse a long time. She wasn't going anywhere.
Absolutely.
And to see them two as examples who were not in the religion of the ritual of going to, but still was connected spiritually to the
overall concept of religion,
of spirituality,
and of God.
And to be able to, they still prayed, they still had their own spiritual relationship on whatever level that they, to me, was very free.
Absolutely.
For myself.
It was, it still feels good.
Oh, it still feels good. My aunts were the example, and some of my family, not just my aunts, some of my family it's funny to me how we are still in a prison mind because, from what I understand, you guys were the rebels.
Oh yeah, we're still rebels.
But hold on. You guys were the rebels of the family,
right?
Because grandma thought outside of the box. However, fast forward now to my generation that is here, they're no longer. A lot of them are no longer the rebels. They're now more traditional, but they try to keep us into a prison where sometimes I want to stop and say, but you guys were a rebel. Why is it an issue that
we are now rebels? We're
around rebels.
Yeah.
I have long hair. My hair's up, but I have long hair. I have my ears pierced.
Right.
I have a cousin. He has tattoos. He has locks down his back.
Yes.
You know, I have one cousin. He cut his hair. He has the fluffy long hair. I have cousins who are tatted. You met one of them, Drew. He's tatted. You know, he plays. But we are outcasts because we don't follow the prison of the mind that you guys once was free from.
Because any prison has to have a warden. You get what I'm saying? Any prison that is self-sustaining still has to have someone to operate it. And so what we don't realize a lot of times is we become the wardens of the prisons that we fought so hard against being in part of.
So let me break it down. So you guys were once the prisoner. And
our aunts were the wardens.
Y'all left the prison. Let me finish it now. Y'all left the prison in the sense of the traditional prisoner.
Well, let's just say
then became the warden.
One prison door went into another room.
We were
freer. Yeah. Than that when we were in that prison.
Because you have more responsibility.
Different. Yeah. Looks different.
Your office is where you can come and go as you please.
Absolutely. And within that parameter, I'm trying to get you to see the fractalness of the prison
It's a prison inside of a prison. Almost like
prison.
The dolls. It's a doll.
Yes,
you open another doll. It's another doll.
Yes.
You open that doll. It's another doll.
It's you got one big doll.
Yes.
That nobody that's in the smallest doll can see.
No.
And they come out the little doll and they like, well, this doll is just a little bit bigger, but it's still a doll.
Just like
and keep going until you don't break out, until you break the outer system that is holding. So I agree with you that every generation has to have its wardens of the prison because even whether you want to be or not, because what happens is we don't think we're wardens because our prison that we're in charge of don't look like the prison our parents was in charge of, because now it's decorated a little different. And you get a little more authority than your parents have because now you're not bound by the same laws that they were bound by in the prison that they were in control of. So in this prison, you can wear pants if you want to.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? In that prison, you couldn't. So you had the bondage of being in prison and being told what to wear. Come on over here. Why don't you just join my prison?
Right.
I'll let you wear what you want.
I'll let you wear what you want.
You just can't do what you want to do. So then you come to my prison, you got your pants on.
You get this.
Got your hair cut, your little earrings on.
You have a baby, but you have a baby where?
In prison, baby. And you raise them up in the prison. Of course. And so we don't get that.
We don't get it.
We don't get it. And then when our little babies get grown and they in that same prison with us, and we looking at them and they were saying, I want to get out of here. I want to go through that door.
I want to go through that door.
And you say no, because now our babies is raising up like we did. We raised up enough to say, I want to be out of this prison. And we let them out. Go ahead, baby. Next thing you know, we in here all free, jumping around like, we ain't over there where you at, auntie. And then I raised my baby in my prison. And my baby said, Mom, I don't want to be in here with you. I want to get out. And I say, okay, baby, I fight real hard.
Go back. You raised your baby. I raised my baby in my prison.
Absolutely. Because that's why you say you the rebel. Because you was raised in your mama's prison. But now you are waking up. Because you are now limited only by what's in that prison. You don't know there was a time when you couldn't wear pants, where your mama didn't have on some pants. You don't have that in your mind. And so all you see is what your mom and dad is presenting to you. And they're presenting to you, my mom is, wow, she got a little church, she look good in her clothes. I wonder how I can make that better. And the next thing you know, our kids are saying, shoot, I want to wear an earring now. And we like, boy, you can't wear no earring. Boys don't wear no earring. I want out of this prison. And we show them the door. They go out. And they in their prison now. And in their prison, they raising families and kids. And they kids are saying, I want to get out.
I want to get out.
The point of humanity is to always bust through the system. You can never hold a human being hostage. They're not your property. You might get a generation of people. That's why if you look at most spiritual books, things are done generationally. Because it takes a generation to destroy a thought system. Yes, that's why they say in every generation you have a new group of people. You have a new thought system that comes in. So yeah, my mom was raised in her mother's prison, and she broke out, and she went to her prison, what she thought was her freedom, and she raised us
in her prison.
In her prison.
In her prison.
Exactly, because we each have our own prison. And generations from now, my grandkids' prison is going to look totally different.
Totally different.
But it's fractal because it's still a prison.
It's still a prison.
As long as we're in these bodies, because what you don't realize is that you're not in this body. Your mind is in this body.
Now, because there will always be a prison inside a prison inside a prison inside a prison.
In this. Always.
Prisons are used to do what?
To hold people in.
But then to do what?
It's also a form of punishment and a form of right. You know, go
that
ahead.
word.
Reformation, to reform
To
you.
reform
Yes,
you.
it's a place for reformation. To reform.
So sometimes, in some cases, prisons do save people lives.
Absolutely.
Let me say this. Forms of prison.
He was going back.
Certain forms of prison
Right.
save people lives.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you have some people who are locked up in jail, in prison. You have some people, I've heard stories of drug addicts who were drug addiction, and they had to go to jail for 90 days, 60 days. But because they were in jail, they had to detox.
Couldn't get their hands on that juice.
Sometimes prison, you'll hear stories, they say, prison saved my life.
Absolutely. That's what happened with Malcom. Prison saved his life.
So sometimes prison,
And Elijah Muhammad, all of them had prison.
and I think until you are reformed, that's when you are able to break free from it. See, I have been free from a lot of religious free prisons.
Absolutely.
I ascribe to, like I said, I ascribe to Christianity and certain models, but there's a lot of religious rituals that I just don't do no more.
Right.
I don't do a lot of dressing up.
Yes.
If I can't wear jeans in my earrings in church,
I'll find one that I can.
I'll find one that I can.
Right.
Because the church isn't my spirituality.
But it's time for you to find that place of freedom and expression too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you can't. Every time you join yourself to a system that puts limitations on you, you're always going to be wanting to get out of that. So it's best if you find a system that you can become a part of where you can still express who you are, even if that expression is limited. Like you can't walk around butt naked if that is your choice.
Right.
Because society says that's unacceptable behavior, that's profane behavior. So you cannot walk or deviant behavior. It won't send you to prison, but in some cases it will, because it's against the law to walk around exposing yourself. So there are certain reasons why prisons are inside of prisons to help you get you back into the right standing with society. But the reality of it is, if you go into a system where you know you can't wear your earrings, but you love your earring, you volunteer to be in prison. So what you want to find is someone that says, I want to wear my earring. And somebody that says, I do not have to cover up my tattoos.
Absolutely.
Or I don't have to take off my sweater or my jeans, and I need to be able to wear my jeans with the holes in the knees, because y'all know I like.
Because what happens is it's funny you said it, because what happens is when you're out of that prison and then you say, this is me tatted, and I'm free, you know, but then I go and visit the people that are still imprisoned, and I'm now in a prison because for one, I'm conscious.
Absolutely.
Then I start to cover up.
You're awake in prison.
I start to cover up.
You start conforming.
I start conforming.
Absolutely.
Because they're still stuck in their prison. So like you said, until I need to find a life where I can be totally free in that prison, because every prison is a prison. Right. Then there's something even in this that I would probably need to be free from.
And the thing about it is, you have to realize that you are not the owner of any prison you go into. So until you build your own prison.
And every prison is different.
Exactly, but until you build your own, okay? Because everything that you build that you call your own becomes a prison when someone else joins it, because it's yours. It's not theirs. So if you decide, I'm going to have a church, and in my church you can wear earrings, tattoos, anything you want. So all of the people that come out of the church that was non-conforming, and they say, I'm going to James' church, because he's going to let me do this and do that. But James is still going to have some rules.
I'm still going to have some rules.
And when I come into your church, I'm going to come into a prison. See, the word prison simply means to be controlled, to be in a controlled atmosphere, and to have something outside of yourself controlling you. So it doesn't mean there's something wrong with your prison.
Right.
What it means is that anybody that comes in your prison have to know that that's yours. You the warden, not them.
Not them.
So this is what happens in churches. People go to churches and they say, you know what? I know this your church, but if you want me here, this is what you got to do. And you look at them and say, but this is my prison. You want to be a part of this? You conform or get out.
Absolutely.
And so that's how come you have a lot of pastors who are very militant, because you got a lot of people. It's just like Elijah Muhammad. He was very militant, and he said, "Listen, Malcolm, you can join the nation, but you got." Oh, I sound like him for like Elijah.
Join the nation.
You can join the nation as long as you conform to the nation. But as soon as you are non-conforming to the nation and you become an enemy of the nation and you infect the nation, you must leave the nation, because they will kick you out of their prison. Every prison don't want you.
And listen, even when you go in people, some people are comfortable. We talked about this briefly earlier. Some people are comfortable in their own prison.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to come out of their prison.
Absolutely. Don't want to let anybody in there either.
But they want you to come. They want you to come visit you.
Right, they do want some visitors.
In their prison.
Yes.
Because they can control the environment of the... See, if I come to your prison, I can control your prison.
No. No.
I can't control
I want all people in my prison to have real wigs.
You are the warden of your prison.
That's right.
So I have to conform to your prison.
Yes.
So I honestly think that some of us, in some way,
we in love with prisons.
Yeah.
And we love going to visit.
Yeah.
You ever seen those women who fall in love with prisoners?
Listen, and they will stay with them.
Serial killers. And they will go visit them every day, fall in love with them. As soon as they get out, they don't want to have nothing to do with them. Because they love people that are in prison. Love them. Just, you literally have women who are serial prisoner daters. And as soon as that prisoner gets out of jail, they no longer want them. Because they don't want the commitment and the responsibility of the relationship. Because when they get out of prison, now you are the feeder. They not only do you got to feed them, you got to give them a place to stay. You got to make sure they're okay, and you have to become the warden. Because the only reason these guys are susceptible to you while they're in prison and you're outside, because somebody else is telling them what to do. How long they can stay on the phone with you, when they can talk to you, when you can visit, and what your consummation rights are. Somebody is telling both of y'all that. And so the free person loves being bound to that as long as they are not in the prison, but they're attached to the prison. That's a psychological condition.
Say that again.
The free person doesn't feel bound to the prison, but to the person that is in the prison. So their imprisonment comes from it being attached to the prisoner, not the prison. So you got people outside your vicinity who will stay attached to you as long as you stay in your prison. Because, I don't want to call them narcissists, but people who like to help people that are in pain. People like that. There are people who love it when you are in pain or suffering because they feel like they are some type of messiah or rescue person.
Want to do with you.
Don't want nothing to do with you.
You have people who date only people who are disabled and have disabilities.
These are psychological conditions. It ain't. You can't tell me that. You can't be saying they have a mental health issue because they fall in love with someone who's handicapped. Yes, I can if all 10 of their lovers was handicapped, and that's all they'll date. They won't date nobody that got two legs. I only want somebody with no legs
in a wheelchair.
Or crutches. That is a condition. I'm not saying these people don't deserve to be loved.
No, we're not saying
but don't love them because you have a mental condition for people that are handicapped.
Absolutely.
So we done got crazy off. But as you can see, it still all ties into the reality of how Malcolm got so twisted. I believe he got so twisted because he finally realized he was in another prison. He had no idea that he was in the prison of the Nation of Islam. And until he was pushed out and felt the wrath of that prison, did he realize that he was bound by it. And it affected him so much, he completely came out of character.
Yes, he did.
You could see the anger and the hatred on his face when the newscaster was interviewing him.
Right?
He said, the Honorable Elijah messed with young women. It was arrogance.
It was almost like a volcano just erupted
inside because you can never you can't protect wrong. I'll just say it like that. And if you keep piling up wrong on top of wrong, when the time finally comes, you will explode.
You will explode. And
you will explode. That documentary was really good.
It was really good. I told you.
But it was even better because we talked about it.
Yes.
It was good watching it. And you could still feel the intensity and the energy in the air, the anger.
Listen, it was so. I think I texted you. I said, "Isn't it intense?"
It was very intense.
It's intense.
I sat on the edge of my bed. That's what I was gonna tell y'all. When my godson told me to watch that.
Are you watching upstairs while you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I never got out of bed.
Oh, okay.
I sat up. And I said, let me watch this real quick because I thought it was going to be a movie.
Okay.
And when I saw it was episodes, I was kind of despondent. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to watch 9 episodes. I turned on the first one, went to the second one, the third one. I was saying, so I was sitting on the edge of my bed when I got to episode 3. I was like, James, I'm on episode 3. He was like, already? The next thing I know, I was on episode 4, I was on 7, and then I reached 9. I had not left the edge of my bed. I had my pajamas on, crust still in my eyes, my breath still stank, and I didn't have my wig on.
So at what point I'm in my sister's house, so now I'm in a prison of volume.
And a prison of time. Because she fussing at me.
Hurry this up.
Y'all know we've been going for about 3 hours. I put them out too. It's been about 3 hours that we have been taping. Oh my God.
But I was going to ask you, at what point when you watched episode 1 were you fully in?
When I watched episode 1.
Did it take you to the end of it? Was it kind of slow, or were you like in the first beginning of it and by the middle?
By the time I got to the middle, and I realized that I was shocked because what sustained me and kept me watching was he said these guys did not kill Malcolm X, and he was saying There's 2 that there was 1 out of the 3 that were caught, but it was 5. And I'm like, because I was thinking, okay, out of all the conspiracies that I've heard and all of the stuff that I heard, I was sure somebody's name was going to come up that I remember, such as Minister Farrakhan. I even thought at one point that Martin Luther King might have had something to do with it. I even thought they was going to, in the end, they was going to say it was the FBI, or it was JFK had some kind of hit out on them. Or I thought they was going to even say that, what was Cassius Clay. After I got to that thing, I thought they was going to say he conspires because he was heavy into the nation. So it was taking my mind in so many different places. I was like, I got to see who this is. And it was funny because it didn't get to the last episode. Well, actually, episode 8, they told us who did it.
Take you off though?
It threw me off. What threw me off was not who they revealed, because I didn't know the guy anyway. So when they revealed him, it threw me off because I was like, okay, this whole documentary was to get to this nut, and he was hiding in plain sight.
That's what
that got to me. But it also got to me that the nation and everybody in the Muslim community knew who he was. It bothered me so bad that the government was just sitting back, watching. Watch the entire scene play out.
Let them invite.
Had evidence, specific evidence with the killer's name, and refused even when even when their enemy, Malcolm X, was killed. They still sat back and watched how things unfolded. It's so scary. It's like being put in a. You know, they have a lot of time. They had on those scary shows where people are put inside. I think Leslie or somebody was telling me today about Rosie was telling me today about this movie where they used to eat people, and they would throw 3 or 4 people down in a hole and sit and watch them on a video to see how long they would survive or how long it would take them to eat each other. This is what the system did to Malcolm, Elijah, Martin Luther King, all of these leaders, these black messiahs that rose up. The system threw them all in a box.
And I blame all of them.
And watch.
And the reason why I blame all of them is because
they played their part.
They played their. You have every guy that he interviewed, and it's amazing how he picked those ones, those women. All of those men knew who this guy was.
They knew,
and no one, whether out of fear, no one of all these years said anything. Because like you saying, they let these men pay for a crime that they did
over 20 years in prison. And this we're not talking about, man, we far above the LAPD now. Because everybody was talking about the NYPD, everybody was talking about this is the police. They were stupid and ignorant too.
They were armed.
They were in the prison. They were a part of the prison confusion. They were stuck in there because the FBI knew that they would play their part and play it well. So it all worked out. It was a play. It was like they were sitting back and they was watching the Hunger Games. They threw all these people out into this forest and they said only one gonna come back alive. We're gonna let y'all kill each other. We're gonna let you do whatever. That's how any system works. That is the whole. If y'all watch this series, I'm telling you, pay attention to everybody's role. Look at the highest level of intelligence, which was J. Edgar Hoover, all the way down. Because if you look at it based on hierarchies, you can see who knew and who was the surveillance, and they were the ones who kept everything in a dome. And they made sure that Malcolm X came back to the United States and continued this controversial war. And then they said they even started sending letters out to the nation like it was from Malcolm. They started infiltrating and feeding the fire. So imagine if you think somebody is your enemy, and then they think you and I fighting, but we don't know that there's somebody else that has caused the friction between us. Because we're so bent on being enemies and so selfish that we don't want to really join forces in the Hunger Games. At the last, I think it was the second movie of the series. Yeah, the second thing in the series, and Mitch, the guy that was the mentor for Katniss and Peter, when they went in, they took him back in the second time. He told him, he said, this time when you go in, remember who your true enemy is. Absolutely. And when they was in there fighting amongst each other, trying to gnaw and kill each other, Katniss got ready to shoot and kill one of the guys. He said, remember who our true enemy is. And she put down the bow because she knew that was not her enemy. And what he was telling them is, he said, they're throwing you in here to fight. But if you don't wake up and realize you got the power, and not only did they wake up, not kill each other, they broke the prison they were in, because she blew up that dome. She did. And when she blew that dome up, they just put the helicopter down and took her out because they knew their whole system was torn up. If Malcolm had woke up and said, you know what? The system is playing us. We have our part, but let's see if we can come together and talk about it. Let's see, but both of them, Malcolm and Elijah, were so hungry for power.
Hot-headed.
It was, and they were hot-headed, angry, ambitious, was feeding off of the system. They were literally addicted to it, to the point where they allowed it to destroy them and to take that man's life.
And you know, the thing about Malcolm also, his mind was free. His body was free in a sense of his old nature, but when you're free from prison, you don't forget your prison life and your
no, you don't. That's what keeps you free from it. Yeah. What
I believe when Malcolm was going through that whole debacle, that old Malcolm resurrected, that Malcolm who was a gangster and number runner, and knew the hood, knew
absolutely
all started to come out.
You can see it was in his face. And he even got to the point where he stopped shaving. He didn't have that clean cut look. His beard was raggedy looking. His eyes were dark. You had touched the most destructive part of this man. Absolutely. Where they tried to blow up his children. You woke with a sleeping giant, as they said. They tried to kill his children, his wife. They destroyed. They took this man from up here and destroyed him till he didn't even have $150 in his pocket.
And he said, a nation that I helped build, out of his own words.
And everybody was jealous. See, one of the things that a prison will do, it will force the animals to come out. And when they come out, it forces the animal nature in us to come out. And when it comes out, the first thing we're going to do is like crabs in a bucket, is start. And most of the time, you know when someone is trying to bring you down further, and you start grabbing at it. And what you don't realize is what you're using to sustain you can be detrimental to the person that you're trying to keep down. And that brother James that was in Mosque 25, the leader, he hated Malcolm. They said he hated him so much because he thought he would be in the place that Malcolm was in beside Elijah Muhammad.
And Elijah Muhammad, I think, also planted seeds because he always told Malcolm, be careful because they're going to be jealous of you.
Exactly, yes. But there was just no way that Malcolm could have been that close to Elijah and not had jealousy. And there was no way Elijah could have said that to him and have not had experienced it before. Because there was a lot of people that, even when you look at Farrakhan, how close he said he was to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. all of these leaders that are leading today, they have all had their wars. And it's all under one nation. They are a nation, but it's a nation in turmoil because all of these people are part of the Nation of Islam, but they're fractions of it. And each one of them are saying, I want to be a part of the Nation of Islam, but I want my own prison. I want my people, you take your people, you take your people, and we will all be called prophets of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or the Honorable Allah, or whatever they call him. Yeah, well, Elijah Muhammad was the prophet of Allah.
So, yes, that's what they believe.
Yeah, and so Farrakhan always say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, because they believed he was a prophet, is the way we say Jesus.
Right.
It's the same principle. So it's interesting, but we're gonna get ready to close, y'all, because I'm getting sleepy and tired.
I'm not.
What time is Stoughton coming?
He'll probably be here in a while.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna take him some time. Take his fill out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is I'm not getting really sleepy. I think my mouth tired of talking.
This was this wasn't a funny one like we normally do. I'm telling you,
James, we laugh so much.
this one though is very informative because it makes you want to see this. Yes, I put spoiler alert on the thing for people watching. Put spoiler alert.
Because I need to go. Look at me telling me I need to go watch before this come out. Like I'm talking to them.
No, but this is a spoiler alert. It should be in the description of the things. But if you haven't watched it, please watch it. It's very informative. It's history. It's I think every black.
That's good.
I think every black person should actually watch. See, when I was in school, I wasn't taught. I went to a very predominantly Caucasian county school. Although my school had a lot of black people, the curriculum was Caucasian structured. We didn't learn about Malcolm X when I was in school.
We didn't either.
We didn't learn about. We loosely learned about Martin Luther King. You know, we loosely learned about other people, but like people like I never knew about a Black Wall Street. Wasn't taught about that.
Oh my God.
You know, wasn't taught. I wasn't taught about Black Revolt. The only revolt I was taught was the one that rode on the horse. What's his name?
Paul Revere.
Paul Revere. That's the only revolt I learned about.
Oh, it wasn't black.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only revolt. I wasn't taught about Black Revolt. I wasn't taught that when I came over here, and I'm about to open up another can, because I can see her now. But I wasn't taught that when we came over here, we were kings and queens and kingdoms, and we were snatched from our thrones and our in our kingdoms and our nations. And sometimes they brought whole nations over here with the king and the queen in the same shackles as the people that they ruled. So
them kings and queens were slaving on the same farm. As their subjects.
And we're talking. And when I say kings and queens, I mean literally they talk about the wealth of Africa that was there, and the queens.
Still, Africa is one of the richest mineral countries on the face of the planet.
And it's amazing how when we came over here, it's funny how when we came here, it's the European mindset to keep women under subjection.
Right. Yeah.
Because in Africa they honor the woman. Queens. We had kings, but queens ruled.
Oh yeah.
Queens ruled the nation.
Absolutely.
It was like the woman was the center of authority.
She wasn't, and a man, a pharaoh, a true pharaoh, would not even lead his people without the authority of his wife, because they knew that even spiritually, that Mother Earth was female. They knew that the universe was female, but it wasn't even seen as male and female. It was based on the energy. Anything that gives birth is considered female energy.
But think about it: when a mother gives birth to a child, and then you have the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. A lot of people like their grandfather, but who do they honor the most?
Their grandmother and their mama.
There you go.
They say don't mess with mama, but and I try to give people this kind of picture. Every leader, I don't care if he was divine or not. How did he get here?
Through the womb.
Through the womb of a mother. I don't care who they were. Jesus came through a woman. Elijah came through a woman. Buddha came through a woman. Every spiritual leader that you can think of came through the womb of a woman. Nobody just appeared and flew on the earth. Now we talk about even God.
See, I'm about to say something. Listen, I'm about to say something that would shake some, and I don't care. People will be like, James, he done got with Dorothy and
I welcome the challenge of the
but I looked at the scripture when it said out of the and of course you gotta read, I want to read the exact scrolls when they talk about how man was made from the rib.
You sure you want to read the scrolls or you want to read the most oldest text?
The most oldest text.
Okay, because you don't want to read the scrolls.
The most oldest text.
Okay.
And so when they talk about how man was created from the rib and man was formed. But when you look at rib, where's your rib?
Inside.
No, where are your ribs? If you look at
my ribs here and they
no, that's not your rib.
I mean, they're in the front, but they cover.
Your ribs are here.
Yeah, they come around like a cage.
And where's the baby? Where is the baby?
The baby's in the womb.
We're covered and is covered by what?
It's not covered by the ribs.
It's not within the.
It's not in the rib cage. The baby is in a womb,
right?
Which is the stomach area,
right?
But the ribs come around to still protect.
Yes.
But they stop right here.
My ribs are.
You're a man.
Oh, okay. I thought y'all was built the same way though.
Do you know you even have one more rib than we have?
Really?
Yes. Or one less rib or something like that. Men have one less rib than a woman.
Oh, that's where they get the man. We got because from our rib.
But in the beginning, the first human species was a hermaphrodite.
Absolutely.
Wasn't a male or female.
Right.
It was both.
Right.
And it wasn't until a few days after he was born, or that he was made in the image, that he was put asleep and the woman was taken out.
Male and female, he created them.
He created them. He created a he as them. So he said, let us make man in our image. And he created in the image of God, created he them, male and female. And there was no woman when he came out. He didn't. When he said, let us make man, he said, the scripture said that he made man and he put man in the garden and told him to till the land, but no woman right there then.
So, I know you believe in God, I really do.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you believe that when they say God is we're the image of God, do you believe God is the image of, the humanoid figure? Is that another video?
Oh my God.
I need to give you nuggets, don't I?
No, it's a nugget, but it's only gonna cause.
That's what
You don't want to hear my answer. Because if you hear my answer,
you want to break me from a prison?
if y'all hear my answer's gonna destroy you. I'll have to kill you. I said, you know how that's what the Masons say. If I give you this information, I'm gonna have to kill you. No, I'm just kidding. But listen.
Go ahead, Dr. Suseli say it soon,
This did not come from Sarah Suseli. Listen. Let me say this.
My question was...
There are hundreds of creation stories.
Absolutely.
Okay? Each culture has its own creation story. But let me tell you why. Because we all didn't come from the same maker.
Okay.
Yes. We all didn't come from the same creator.
Okay.
Black people didn't come from the same creator as white people. White people and black people didn't come from the same creator as Chinese and Japanese people. We all have our own ancestors. And those ancestors birthed our particular species of people. Because there are billions of different species on the planet. Not only are there billions of different species on the planet, but there are so many different species of human. We're not all the same.
We're not.
So when I say this,
You're saying that there's a black god, a Chinese god, a white
even
god.
if we don't think of color, because when you say a black god, you can't use color when you're talking about God. Okay? Because God is not a color. It's just where you came from.
True.
So darkness is considered black, right?
Yes.
We came out of darkness. Right? Black people came out of darkness. But they say the brightest light is dark, is black. They say wormholes are the brightest lights in the universe.
Okay.
Because they're the darkness. They said that what they consider, the universe is made out of dark matter. Right?
Right.
They said it's the most abundant matter in the entire universe. But when you look into it, it's the brightest. It's so bright, it's black. That's what we came out of.
So have you heard?
So you can't say that you're made in the image of God because you have many images that you were made in the image of.
Okay.
And when I say that, if you think about it, you have come from generations of gods, right? And by coming from your ancestral lineage goes so far back.
But hold on, it goes so far back. I'm gonna say something that the Bible does not contradict what you're saying.
Absolutely, I didn't
Because it's, I know, but I'm saying
I
it's
do,
the
yeah, I read, yeah.
Because it's the scripture that say, "Ye little what?
Niggas.
You are little gods." Let me show you.
It does not say you are little gods. It says you are gods, period. There's no scripture.
No, not little gods. But you are God. I meant to say you are gods with a little G. That's what I meant to say.
Well,
It wasn't a big G.
okay, please don't look at the G size.
Really?
You can't look at it's someone else's transliteration
Okay.
of an original manuscript.
Okay.
You can't do that.
That's fair.
And you can't look at their grammar or
That's
their
fair.
pronunciation.
That's fair.
Because when you do
It was
that,
taken through the through the English language.
it was taken through the pale of translation.
Yes, you're right.
And by going through that, you're also going through cultures.
Yes.
You're also going through time.
Yes.
You're also going through generations.
Yes.
So we don't know what size that G was. We don't even know if it was a G. Because there was no such word as God until the most recent times. They were called pharaohs. They weren't called God. So God, if you look at the etymology of God, it's a very recent term to denote anything that was worshipped, deified, or basically anything that was worshipped or deified was considered God. So let's not, let's just look at, let's just say what you're saying and don't try to qualify it or justify it because it makes sense just in its own self.
Okay.
The scripture says that ye are gods.
Yes.
Which puts you on the same level as the Elohim because Elohim is plural.
Right.
It is not singular.
Right, and because we're children of the Most High.
Of the Most High.
And because and so if you are, if you are African American and I'm your son, that makes me what?
African American.
Right. So
Son.
I'm your son. So
Yeah, so you made in my image.
there you go.
So when you think about whose image you're made in, just look at your mother and your father.
But I say that to agree with your don't concentrate on this little g and small g.
Yes.
Whether it's a small g or little g, if God
Exactly.
is God,
That's right. I see what you're saying.
that's
right.
God.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so when you think about it, that's why the Bible itself even promotes ancestral worship. Mm-hmm. You think about it.
Mm-hmm. I had this discussion before.
Now let's think about it. Let's look at I believe it's the first book of Matthew. Before they even introduced Jesus, what did they talk about? His lineage.
His lineage.
They go back and talk about his lineage. Whenever he met anybody, he said, "Who are you?" "I am the father of your father Elijah, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Never would say, "I am the Son of God." Mm-hmm. That's not how people identified themselves. When Jesus said, when the disciples met Jesus, Moses, and Elijah on the Mountain of Transfiguration, right? Why didn't God show up there? Mm-hmm. And then Jesus told the lady at the well, she said, who do you worship? She said, "We worship the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," or the father, or something like that. Abraham is our father. And he said, "You worship who you know not what." You don't know what you worship. That's what I keep trying to tell people. You have no idea what you're worshiping. So I believe in reincarnation. Mm-hmm. You know how I believe in reincarnation? My child is a reincarnation of me. Mm-hmm. Every time I birth a child, I reincarnated myself.
It continues to live on.
It continues to live on. And so we are
a child to live.
Well, no, you can interject yourself, because birth is a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. It's only identified naturally. But birth is a spiritual thing. It's more spiritual than it is natural. Because you think about it, I could be pregnant all day long and that pregnancy never come out alive. Mm-hmm. It may never come out alive. And so until life enters into that vessel or that being, then there is no life in it. It's just another shell being born. And it's another opportunity for life to express itself. So when you say, what image are we in? We're in the image of life. Every one of us. But it's showing you the diversity of life, because life is expressing itself as each one of us and having that experience through us of itself. So if I'm life and I manifest myself as me, I'm having an experience as this person that I've manifested myself in. So that's why I say you can't go back and say I'm in the image of God, because the image changes with each birth. Mm-hmm. So what image are you talking about? Some people are born with no nose. So when that child's parents looked at them and they said, "I'm in the image of God, but I don't got no nose," did God not have a nose? Mm-hmm. I'm just using that. That's kind of weird, but the reality of it is, what is an image? An image is a reflection. It does not have to have detail. Right? This is an image, right? You don't see no details. All you see is a round head on the back of this thing. Y'all see that? There's no image. But the scripture tells you that we should not even worship a molten image.
Or was the, and I'm just using this, when you think of image, I'm thinking, well, maybe they used the term image, but that was the only way they could translate it into as image.
That's the key word. That's the only way they could translate it. Because the Bible is only based on the translator's understanding.
Because if you image a machine, mm-hmm. you condition it and get it prepared. You get
an exact copy. Yeah, absolutely. But then that's called a copy.
Maybe it's a spiritual thing, though. Maybe the image of Christ, or image of God, is maybe on the spiritual level.
Well, that's why I say, if you read the scripture, there was two men born. There was a spiritual man born and a natural man born. Because there was one man born in the first book of Genesis, chapter 1. And then I think when you go to chapter 2 or 3, there's another man born. And that man's coming up out of the ground.
I don't remember that.
He molded and made Adam from the dust of the ground.
From the dust of the earth, yeah.
But in the first chapter, he spoke him into existence. He said, "Let us make man in our image," and in the image of God made he him, male and female.
That's true.
So that was one male. That was one image. Mm-hmm. But then you go to the next chapter, they say, and God formed the man out of the dust of the earth and out of the ground. And God breathed into him and he became a living soul.
Yes.
So that's two creatures.
Do you think that it's the way that it was translated? Do you think
Of
that's
course not.
semantics?
You know why I don't believe that?
Or
is
do you
the way
think it's an
translated?
elaboration on the original, on the first scripture?
Well, because first of all, I don't cite references based on just the Bible.
Okay.
But I stick with the Bible because that's what people read, and there's enough information in there without me having to cite other references.
Yes.
So if I say to you that it's supposed to be written chronologically,
Yes.
okay, supposed to be, but they say originally Revelations is the first book of the Bible. It's not Genesis.
I thought
Genesis is
was.
Revelations is supposed to be the first book of the Bible.
Okay.
Genesis is supposed to be the last book of the Bible.
Okay.
The Bible is written backwards.
Okay.
Revelations happened first.
So we're taught.
Let me say this one. Okay.
So we're taught Revelation. If I'm going by what you're saying,
Go ahead, yeah.
Because I'm questioning what people may question. So
Right,
I'm not
right,
being
right.
honest with you. If we're going by what we're taught, we are looking for Revelations to happen, and you're saying Revelations has already happened.
If you think about it, in the book of Genesis, I'll give you one example. How did the giants get here? The giants were here.
Mm-hmm.
The war in heaven had already taken place. They were already here. Man was not the first creature or the first entity to land here.
So you're saying, let me ask you, so Revelation is the war in heaven.
The war in heaven where a third of heaven was kicked out. The dragon and his angels
Correct.
were kicked out. So how in the world did the dragon and his angels get kicked out?
The Lucifer sect.
Don't give them a name.
Okay.
And then you jump over to Genesis, and there's giants in the earth. And the sons of God are having sex with the daughters of men. Where did they come from? Weren't they just kicked out in Revelations? They was kicked out, and the Bible said they were sent and they made war on earth with the woman. This is Revelation. Didn't they come and make war with the woman, and the woman ran,
Yes.
and God hid her in the garden?
Yes.
Among the trees? That's Revelations. That's not Genesis.
Why stop talking?
Because I'm looking at your face.
Because I'm listening.
And then, when they came out of the ark, wasn't it supposed to be 7 people
So
on the planet?
this
Wait,
is-
wasn't it supposed to be 7 people on the planet?
Absolutely.
Well, the scripture said there were giants in the earth before and after.
Well, okay. So,
And why was Cain sent into the land of Nod? What was the land of
you
Nod?
said giants in the earth. Did scripture talk about giants in the earth before?
Before the flood and after the flood.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. If we think of a giant in terms of what we believe a giant would be, giants would have been able to sustain a flood.
You think?
Absolutely. You don't think so?
I can show you some giants right now that didn't sustain the flood.
Well, so if you're going where I thought, if people
Just some, I'm saying, not all.
If you go where I think you're going, I've seen imagery of fossil giants in the earth where I didn't know how real it was. She's like, yeah, it's very real.
Yeah.
But it makes you think of things like Stonehenge. How was Stonehenge created?
You sure Stonehenge is rock?
What else would it be? I mean, I've heard people say it's a gate.
The material of Stonehenge, you think it's a rock?
I don't know much about it, so I can't really.
I'm asking you
from answering the question right now. Do I think yes?
What if I told you it was a fossil? There were parts of giant bodies.
That would blow my mind.
What if I told you?
So it's Stonehenge about Go ahead.
What if I told you that inside of the statues in Egypt, when you see them giant statues, that those were mummies.
Giant statue.
In Egypt, when you see the pharaohs, they're huge.
The Sphinx.
The Sphinx is a statue,
Yes.
but it's human. It's a mummy inside.